Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first podcast for Eagle Song Media. This podcast has been started because there is a need to help the youth. And I find that it's very important that we reach out to the young leaders of tomorrow and we learn from them. Because the thing is, a lot of times as adults, people who are in our 40s and 50s and things like that, we're always thinking about life from our perspective. And we also think about life from the way things were when we were a certain age. But the facts are, the world is vastly different from when I was 20 years old, like our young guest today. Um, so the title of the podcast is Leaders of Tomorrow, Life Seen Through a Future Leader's Perspective. And our guest today is Gahdaco Richard. He's a 20-year-old professional entrepreneur, writer, and salesman. He also has a YouTube channel, and he's working on for new business ideas.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
How's it going, good sir?
I'm doing great, man. I'm just living life, living life as always.
Yes.
Yeah. How's things been
So,
with you?
first, life has been really good, Um, to my age, it's not that I'm some sort of old ancient man or anything like that, but life can be uh, a challenge sometimes,
Mm,
and it's a great change because it's my
yeah.
belief that we go through different stages in life, and sometimes we feel like we know everything, a certain stage
Yeah.
in our life, and we're kind of like, whoa, it's kind of like starting a whole new chapter and reading a whole new book.
I
So
like
that's
that.
pretty much where I'm at, and I like really just being a positive person and learning how to adjust to this new world that we're living in, especially post COVID.
Of course. Yeah, that was hectic.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's one of the things that people don't understand is there's a lot of youth that you know really had challenges. Me as an adult, I have challenges too, but I don't think anyone in my lifetime has lived through something like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely
Yeah.
changed things in different massive life changes.
Agreed. I agree.
Yes. So let's start with some questions, young man.
For sure. Let's get into it. Let's get into the juice.
So um, I think it's important that we learn from you, right? Because it's my belief that you're a very inspirational young man, and you have a lot to teach a lot of people.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate it.
from your perspective, and just let us know how you feel. How
Yeah.
important is men's mental health, especially for young men?
Yeah. I mean, uh, it's probably the most important thing a young man can kind of grapple with or learn how to tackle. Even myself, or even just going back to like when I was 13, 14, 15, my mental health is not something I fully understood. I didn't understand why I would feel sad, why I would feel angry, why I would throw chairs in class and all that kind of stuff. And there's just a whole bunch of different things that come into play. So I think it's probably the most important thing to learn how to grasp and get on top of, because that's what shapes you all the way until you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Your mental health as a young person in your childhood is going to be the most embedded part of your brain. So that's going to be
Mm,
that's the foundation, right? Just how we can have all this dexterity in our fingers, that is the foundation of our brain. And your mental health and the way you process the world and you view everything, going all the way to like 25 to 26, it's the most crucial thing. It's going to shape everything in your life as a man and as a human in general. So yeah.
yes. Now, when I was your age,
Mhm.
like, there wasn't really much people talking about the importance of mental health for young people. One of the biggest things was anger management. You know,
I see.
growing up, that's what I was kind of taught is learn how to control your anger. But the funny thing is, back in those days, no one even bothered to say this is where your anger. You know, it was
Hmm.
like here's some tools. Everything was about coping. So it was about like here's some tools to control your anger. But it's like okay, well, tell me where the you know, excuse my language, but where the fuck is that coming from? Why do I rage
Exactly.
out?
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? And I feel
That's what you need.
now,
You need to know that. You need to know that.
yes,
Yeah.
100%. That's important to know the source.
Hmm.
And I feel now that we have access to so many books, so much free information online. Also, different forms of therapy. It's really popular now. People have a better
Yeah,
opportunity to learn quicker.
very true.
Now, how have you educated yourself when it comes to mental health?
The biggest thing, I mean, like, thankfully I was able to grow up in the digital age, so I've had access to a lot of other entrepreneurs who are not like too far ahead of me in terms of age, but in terms of what they've been able to accomplish, they're miles ahead of me.
Mm,
So 24, 25, 26, doing big things, having businesses that are, multi figures per month. Being able to listen to those people speak and understand what they grappled with at 20 years old, how they got over
yep.
those mountains, and how they jumped over those hurdles. That's what's helped me out. Those books, going to the gym, and just making sure that I'm trying to think deeper than surface level. That's what's really made me like that's what's got me to get over those mental health bumps and really understand why is Gahdaco pissed off right now? Why is Gahdaco sad? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you have a YouTube channel, and I've been fortunate enough to see some of your videos.
Yeah.
Um, so what inspired you to start, doing videos and things like that, and also like educating, young people such as yourself?
Yeah. Well, it's a long it's a long and it's a funny story. It started out with me entering a pyramid scheme. So I was a part of, I don't know if you ever heard of I was a part of Worldwide Dream Builders. It's this one pyramid scheme like Amway. Essentially, there was another group that was attached to it. It was a huge self-development group. Like, obviously, I wasted a lot of money. I wouldn't say I ever wasted my time, because that's what got me into books, reading, and being able to network with individuals. Like, I would hop on the bus, hop on the train, and just talk to people beside me, try to get them in, pick their brain, and just network, right? And that's what I would do. So the whole idea was to build a team, inspire the team to work harder, to build their own teams, of course. And I realized that I'm, on a hamster wheel. I'm just working for the people above me, no matter how many people I get. So I'm like, instead of working relentlessly to find people and to inspire people, why don't I become somebody that people come to? So I decided that I
Mm,
still love all the self development. I still love improving. So why don't I just start a YouTube channel? And when people want the problem, they search the problem. I'm the first solution that pops up, instead of trying to shove a solution down people's mouth. And that's what
yeah,
inspired me to, yeah, that's what inspired me to hop on YouTube, kind of document my life, and just kind of go from there and inspire people that are 2 years younger than me, 2 years older than me, whatever it may be. Right.
yeah, I like that. And
Hmm.
I find that one of the beautiful things about your YouTube channel is that you speak the language of your people, of your time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can connect with them, and so when you're doing your videos, you're being so open and honest that they feel like, okay, I'm talking to a friend, or I'm listening to a friend.
Very
Tell me
true.
about what's going on in their life and how they're perceiving it. And
Yeah.
also, I really like it when you kind of kick people in the ass and you say, like, get up off your ass.
Of course.
You've been late.
Yeah.
Get your things together. Get your ass in gear. You can do so much with this day.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I really do. I find your videos quite inspiring.
Thanks, Conroy. Yeah, that's another reason, that kind of unlocks another reason why I started, because I wish I had that when I was 14. You know, even though I
Mm,
loved, like, obviously I was young. You're not expecting much out of a 14-year-old. Of course, play your video games, have your fun, do degenerative things, and make mistakes. But I wish I had a little bit more of an older brother, whether that be digital or in real life. Someone just saying, "Okay, man, just play video games for 2 hours a day, not 12." So yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
I was having a conversation with my nephew. I have a young dream.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I have custody of him, and he's 16 years old.
Yeah,
And I recognize that at his age, you know, um, people were in my life were just saying, like, jail. You know,
really.
I didn't really have that many people encouraging me to graduate school. The whole thing was like, stay out of trouble, don't go get arrested. You know, it's very just the ceiling was set very low, the bar.
I see.
What I understand now is it's my duty now, the next generation, to raise the bar, to say, hey, it's not enough just to graduate school. You should be thinking about, okay, when you're done school, are you going to go to university? Are you going to, what things are you going to do? Are you going to start, and how are you going to get that money then if you're going to start a business, right?
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
start to think forward on how to raise the bar. Because there's
I like
this, I don't know, do you listen to the motivational speaker, Eric Thomas?
No, I am not familiar with him. No, no, no.
You know, I can, I will, it's like a hat.
Eric
But anyways,
Thomas.
I'll send you a
It
video.
doesn't ring a bell.
He's
No.
kind of my age, so you're like, I don't know that old guy.
That's funny.
But anyways, he talks about
Yeah.
how, like, you know, in his line of work, he was making $10,000 per presentation. He was on top of the world.
Mm.
And then his
What
family
did he,
started saying, pardon?
what did he do for work? What did he do for work?
He's a motivational speaker. So he has his doctorate, I think, in psychology.
Okay.
And so, you know, but his family was saying to him, like, yeah, you're thinking like some ghetto. You're thinking $10,000 a show. You're like, oh, you know, I hit the lottery. When there's people out there getting paid $100,000 a show, you know, to go out there and present and speak and stuff like that. And so it's all about raising the bar. And in order to do
Mhm.
that, we have to kind of get free of, you know, the place where we're at. You know, if we see only people around us that say they top out at, say, $300,000 a year.
Yeah.
If we get to $350,000 a year, we're going to feel like, oh, we're the big boss. You know, we finally made it. But we need to think past that. Like, okay, even though I don't know anybody that makes millions of dollars a year, maybe I should set that bar for myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I like
but
that
I'll send you
perspective.
that motivational speaker. He might be a little bit old for you, but you know, we'll see what happens.
Eric Thompson, you said his name was?
Eric Thomas, and I like
Eric
that he
Thompson.
talks about God a lot too. So,
Okay. Nice. Nice.
okay. So, in your experience, when it comes to mental health and keeping yourself focused, what has been the most effective methods that you've used so far?
Most effective method, it kind of derived from me like digging deep into like philosophy books. There's something called, they used to refer to it as a daemon inside of your mind, and that basically is something that it's just a voice in your head that guides you to more, right? So in your
Mm,
head you can always imagine yourself making way more sacrifices, working out 10 times more intensely, or reading a book for 3 more chapters, right? You can always imagine yourself doing more. um, and I just started listening to that voice. As chaotic and as psycho as people thought I was, that is what got me out of any rut possible. And that's what drives any depression out, is when I was in motion, listening to that inner voice that was telling me, like, Gahdaco, you can make these sacrifices. Work as hard as you
mm.
can to become the Gahdaco you want to become. It was that. That was the biggest tool that I've used. And also eliminating excuses. Like people, I've talked to a lot of people who said they want to start a YouTube channel just like me. And they're like,
Mm.
yeah, I just need to do this before I start a YouTube channel. Like they always have a middle excuse. I need to do this. I need to do X before I do Y, whatever it may be. But in reality, the main the main problem like that you need to solve is you need to do the Y, and then the X is going to get solved. So it's like, oh, I can't start a YouTube channel because I'm too depressed. That's why you should start a YouTube channel, and then your depression
Mm.
will go away. And that's like understanding that mental framework is what kind of fixed my mental health. Like, seriously, that's as simple as it sounds.
So, what would be one of the books that you suggest for someone, a young person, kind of just getting started on that journey
uh,
of kind of self discovery?
The first ever book that I cracked open was The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. That book is what changed my life. The Compound Effect.
The Compound Effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Biggest thing biggest thing I learned there was like just the slightest movements. They brought that old analogy of a plane. If a plane is just gonna move one tick off course, it's gonna end up in a whole different country, basically. So it's just
Mhm.
like make sure that you're doing the right things. Either you're gonna compound backwards or compound forward. So just try your hardest to compound forward. You know?
And so, when you were reading that book behind it, what was the thing that kind of like connected you to it? Because a lot of times when we're absorbing information, we need that one thing, that one spark to be like, okay, I really connect with this information, or I can really understand that, or there's one piece of advice that kind of touched, something deep inside. Oh, I get it.
What, like, yeah, what was the main connection piece? Well, when it talked about money and spending, one thing that I did in the beginning is, like, he said that every dollar you spend, or anytime you spend money, write it down. And I tried to do that for a little bit, and then I realized, like, okay, this is like, I literally made money. I made spending money unattractive, the most unattractive thing to do, and then that's what solved my money problem, like money spending habits. And I actually just did that one thing. Obviously, I'm not doing it anymore, but now I added a little bit of friction in between buying. So then that slows down, me just tapping my card, tapping my card, tapping my card. So that was the one piece of advice that, like, got me to just keep flipping through the pages, and I just got obsessed.
I like that.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess when I really started changing, I listened to this audio book called the 10 best leadership rules. And so what it was a book that talked about, the world's best leaders. But what it did is these people were talking about the people they worked for to become great leaders. So essentially the first half of the book was talking about the worst leaders. And I was talking about the absolute worst leaders that people have ever seen and the mistakes they were making. And some of those mistakes I seen within myself. And so it started to click. Like, running a team was all about iron fist. I was like an army general, It's like go over the mound or get hurt. You know what I mean? And I learned real quick, and I couldn't understand at the time, why did I have so many people quitting on me? It's because, yes, I was good to them and stuff like that. When we were working during the day, I was just running them ragged. I was right beside them in the trenches, but that's not the appropriate leadership. And so, whenever I read any books,
what's the better leadership?
Pardon?
How do you stop people from quitting on you?
One of the things is you kind of got to be like a part-time psychologist. You have to understand people, because the thing is like it's almost like parenting a little bit, but it really is. So when you hire someone based on their skills, but you have to try to understand a little bit about their psychology, right? Because there can be someone who's really driven by consistent feedback of how great they are. Oh, you're so great. Oh, you're so great. And they'll just keep working hard for that feedback. But the problem with that, get a lot of hard work on that person for about a year or two, but they're going to want more and more and more to keep driving them forward. The idea is to hire someone that knows how to drive themselves. Yes, you give them praise and things like that. Be able to like push themselves. In the construction industry, when you hire someone who's a craftsman, so he doesn't do a good job because of how much money you're paying him, how many gold stars you give him. He cares about what the job looks like, because and in my industry, those are the best kind of people to hire. And just really learning them. You also can't become too friendly with them, because what happens is if you create this idea with these young people, or for anybody really, that we're best friends, can you have to make a hard business decision? They're going to take it very personal.
I see.
Even if it's pretty cut and dry, they're going to be like, "Oh, you're my brother, and you've just, deducted wages because I made some mistake. But if you're my fam, why would you do that to me?" And so there's that, having that nice balance of, are we best friends or not? And also consistently educating your staff. Have different programs so they keep learning, they keep learning, they keep learning. And sometimes people, if I keep teaching this person, they're going to outgrow me. So what I would like to do
is that
it happens.
Is It does, eh? Is that something that
Yeah,
you want to prevent as a leader, or is that something you want to
you
make sure
want it to
people love
happen.
you? Okay,
Yes,
I see.
because the thing is like in the long run, if you've really helped somebody grow to become more than they ever thought they could be, that's a great relationship to have. They're going to move on. If they don't like where they went to, they're going to come back. You don't know how maybe you can develop that relationship to increase your sales. So that person's moved on to a huge, multinational company. Now you have a connection there. And because
Mm,
that person worked with you and you never held them down, they trust him. So when you go to do some sort of business deal with them, there's an open door there and there's already that relationship. Because I find
that's
it's better
smart.
just to help people.
Yeah.
And in some of the older ways, like when I first started, um, to deliberately suppress other smaller companies. So, for instance, say you started a maintenance company, right?
Yeah.
I would be like, okay, I'm going to suppress you because I see your strength. And one day you might come for my contract. So I'm either going to come to you and make you work for me and try to suppress you like that, or I'm going to lowball some of my prices to keep you out of my
Wow.
industry.
Yeah.
Right? And that's operating in a fear based mindset. Strong enough that you can just share everything.
True.
And when I used to think like that, I wanted everything. I was greedy. I wanted all the contracts. But then I learned once you get all those contracts, sometimes you can't handle it. And here you are getting greedy, gluttonous,
Mm-hmm.
and you got what you wanted, but you can't handle it. And I see so many businesses do that. They start out, they're just like getting every contract, they're slashing prices, they're being cutthroat. And within 2 years, psh,
Down.
because there's enough work for everybody.
Yeah.
There really
Yeah.
is. And in every industry, really. And those who try to suppress others and keep them out, eventually things don't work out for them.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
so a bit about maintaining mental health. I
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
myself experienced depression. You know, it's funny because you know people, you hear someone say, "Oh," before you've ever experienced it, right? They're like, "Oh, I had depression." You're like, "Oh, that must suck," like it sounds like bad stomach ache or something, you know.
Yeah.
But once you go through it, you're like, "Damn, that was the worst shit I've ever been through," because it's intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it really is, and you don't understand it until
I
you've been
agree.
through. But no, like you were saying, uh, going within yourself,
Yeah.
that's a big one. And I think consistently working on it, even after you've gotten out of depression, I think that it's important for young people to know that it's a lifelong journey. It can be
True.
like sunburn because first, you get that sunburn that 1 year, then the next year you may get it easier, and I think that depression is like that. So I think young men such as yourself, as you go through this life, you consistently working on mental health because life is full of ups and downs. But if you just keep working at it, you'll stay out of the pit. You know?
That's true. That's very true. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And working out, and proper eating, all that is the big thing.
Yeah.
Now, if book you were telling me about, is there another book? Because first you start with your first one, then you start going crazy.
Yeah.
What's the next one you read that really helped you?
The next, there were like I read a lot really fast. I read The Slight Edge after that. It basically kind of covers the same thing. Basically, just be one step ahead every single day. But the biggest one
Okay.
that I like within that kind of 3 or 4 month time frame was the infinite game. So that's again touching on business there and what you were talking about within the construction industry of not having a scarcity mindset, understanding that there's pie for
Yes.
everybody. It's the same kind of mindset that I applied to just life. And that was a good thing going into business, going into the YouTube channel, is understanding that like you need to be in it. Not it's not a finite game. You can't play it like other companies who are just trying to get in there and do things fast. You need to play it long term. Play it long term. And that's the same thing with your mental health. It's the same thing with self improvement. It's a long term thing. You can't just expect 3 months, boom, I'm going to be as rich as Andrew Tate. I'm going to have a crazy shredded body. My life is going to be great in 4 months. Wow. Like self improvement is not a trend. It's not a trend. And I hate seeing it now, just a trend. It's like a corny little trend thing, and people aren't taking it seriously. It's a
Mm.
lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, and it has to be who you are. And if you're in it for the trend and you don't even understand what self development is, and you're just as much as a sheep as everybody else. So the infinite game, that's like multifaceted. It can apply to business, life, self improvement, relationships. So that's another one that changed my life a lot.
That's good. It
Yeah.
seems like you have the mentality of like nothing's gonna stop you.
Oh no.
You know, kind of
Yeah.
like a juggernaut mentality, juggernaut momentum. Would that
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
correct?
That's very correct,
Yeah,
Roy.
I
Got it.
like I like that because um, as a businessman, that's what you kind of need. Because there's going to be like speed bumps, there's going to be obstacles, but it's just like just keep just boom, just keep
Yeah.
crushing and just keep rocking and rolling. No matter what happens, you trip, you fall, you just get back up, keep going, keep going, keep going. And yeah, I really
Exactly.
do like to see young people like you with that kind of drive.
Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, like, even though I haven't had crazy success in business yet, what I have understood is that, like, for young individuals like myself or that are younger, if you're preparing yourself to create, to have just a large degree of your mental faculty is just very strong. If you can have that
Yes.
preparation, I just know that, like, because I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs that are successful, have failed businesses, and they're like, they say, I wish I developed your mindset at that same age or a little bit earlier. I wish I had that. I wish,
Yes.
right? So then I understand. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that as thank you. I'll take it as a little bit of an ego boost, and then I'll also just keep doubling down on that. So then when the time comes when I'm being successful in business more and more, I'm gonna excel. So it's just building those steps, the steps to becoming who I am. Because I understand, like, as a young person, I'll even admit it myself. I am impulsive. I want things fast. I even want things in 3 months, 4 months, five. But for the past couple months, I've been maturing and understanding that life is just kind of a perpetual loop of you gathering the necessary tools to build the staircase to who you want to become, rather than trying to just walk up the stairs right away. You can't walk up anybody else's staircase. You have to build your own. And from 14 to maybe 25 will just be a season of learning for me. Who knows? But I'm willing to grind. I'm willing to put in those 10 years before I see the big payoff, because I don't want my staircase to be weak, you know?
Yes, and I think that's really important to understand that, like, um, you know, we make mistakes,
Yeah.
and you're gonna make mistakes. And but like you were saying before, when you speak to people, they talk about all the excuses why they can't achieve something, why they can't start something. At the end of the day, they're just scared to fail.
Yeah.
And we have to fail. And it sounds counterintuitive to a lot of people, but it's important because once you fail, you learn from there. It's the age old thing. If you want to learn not to touch the stove, you touch it when it's hot, and from there,
Exactly.
it's okay. I'm not touching the
Yeah.
stove again when it's hot because
Yeah.
I got burnt.
Unless you're
You
psycho like
know,
me, I'll touch it twice.
just make sure. Make sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel that. I do. And so, like, you know, I want to tell you that how I've met you was through your father,
Yeah.
and I had a chance to get your father, get to know your father over the years, and he really was a great man.
He was.
You know,
He really was.
and
Yeah.
we had the chance to really talk and things, and before his passing, he's really like just digging deep into life and its understanding. And so, I really thought that was cool, and I see that spark within you. And
Thank
so
you. Yeah.
that leads me into the next question. Very important that young people start to ask these questions of themselves, not to look around their environment, but to ask themselves what this really means to them.
Yeah.
What is your definition of a great man?
Yeah. Like that's a hard question to answer, obviously, because I'm a young man, right? So I look into
Yes.
my ideals. I don't necessarily know, like, I'll be humble here. I don't necessarily know. But what I've seen among the great men that I've observed is from my like immature or naive opinion now, is that what makes a great man is kind of understanding that you'll almost never be one, in a sense that, yeah, you'll be a great man, but you have to understand that just in human nature, or as a man who has drive like myself and like yourself, that there's always just going to be more that you want to obtain, more that you want to conquer, whether that be with women, whether that be with business, or whether that just be with your life goals. You're always going to want more. So you're never going to actually become your ideal man, and that's what's going to make you a great man, because you're going to be continuously chasing more progress and more goals. So it's a never ending target, and that's what makes a great man.
Answer. And I would like to add to that.
Of course.
It's great to be humble. Humility
Yeah.
is one of the key things that we need to achieve greatness, actually.
Hmm. Hmm.
But there can be such a thing as too much humility. So I
Fair
think
enough.
that as young people grow, and as they find their successes in life and things like that, that they do remind themselves every once in a while, I am a great man.
True.
I have succeeded. I have done this. I have done that. You know, because like I know a lot of talk about how like we need to destroy the ego,
Yeah.
but I think ego has a place. But
Agreed.
it's just like
Yeah.
it's like everything else. It's how much do we use it? We can't be in full control of what we do. But I can tell you from my own experience, every once in a while, it does help to be like walking into an event and having that mindset like, okay, I'm the shit, and I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah. Yeah.
exude that. You know what I
Nice.
mean? But you're not going to walk around and treat people like dirt.
Of
But like
course
in
not.
your own mind, you're feeling like, I'm on top of the world. Actually attract people to you. But it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, get away from me, peasant, or acting like that. But just having a certain amount of it within yourself. And that means like
Sure.
just saying like, you know, fuck, I'm great. Sorry about the
You did it.
language to my
Yeah. Yeah.
viewers. I'll work on it. Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree. I
But
agree.
yeah, thank you, man. That's a really good answer, and I like to
Yeah.
see that someone of your age, has that understanding that humility is key.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah. Now,
I agree with what you're saying. Like, obviously there has to be some degree of content, and not even just content. Like, for example, you just ate a meal. You're grateful for that meal.
mhm.
Nice. I'm hungry. I'm fulfilled. But now you're thinking about dinner. You know what I'm saying? Now you're thinking about the meal for tomorrow. So it's just like,
Yes.
not even as a man, just as a human, we're just forever moving forward. We started on horses, then we went to cars, then 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder sports cars. Now we're going to EVs. Soon we're just going to be on jetpacks. I don't know. We'll see. But it's a human nature thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
And so, in my experience, I think about 2 years ago, I started seeing like, back then they didn't call it the red pill community. I guess that's the name for it now. But I started seeing a lot of videos like that. And some of the things I agree with, some of the things I don't.
Yeah.
But what I have seen is there's a lot of young men really gravitating towards that because, it's empowering, like masculine, you know.
True.
I want to
True.
eat red beef and drive fast cars, make a lot of money.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on the red pill?
The red pill community, like, I love it. I love it to some degree, right?
Okay.
There's a lot to the red pill that's more than just dating, more than just females, in terms of like it wakes you up to the government, it wakes you up to the real harsh realities of the world. And I mean, those aspects and having that foundation as a man, being quote unquote red pill to some degree, is good. You're not
Hmm.
going to be just a mindless sheep living through life. But then when it comes to the dating part, there has to be a lot of discernment. There has to be a lot of discernment about what people are saying and what ideologies that you're following. And I made a video about this. I called
Mm.
it the red pill epidemic. And it's more or less like there's a lot of men who, even my age, younger, even all the way up to older, who are, addicted to pornography, don't even have much experience with women, and they're attaching to this. And once they attach to
Hmm.
these ideologies, they realize the harsh, not the harsh, but just how cold females can be sometimes, because sometimes females move really weird. They haven't even experienced a real female, but yet they start to develop hatred towards the other side, and it makes no sense. Like, you're not even getting sexual access. How do you hate a woman? You know what I'm saying? You should be trying to love them. But and then for people who are actually getting experience with women, this is the red pill is something that kind of helps them, be able to navigate it better and get closer to finding their wife, or get closer to doing however they want to, live in the dating market, whether it just be sleeping with girls, just having one girl every 3-4 months, so it depends on the individual. That's what I was saying. But ultimately, it is an epidemic that you need to digest it wisely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from my experience with watching any red pill stuff is that there's times where you feel like you have to be super buddy and control your anger and suppress some of your more aggressive tendencies and all these
Hmm.
things. And I come from a place where it's like, well, no, that's a part of who I am. There's certain parts of that's me, you know.
Yeah.
And so I allow myself to experience some of those sides of myself. Um, but I also, like you said, discernment, right? Like seeing, like, okay, that's a little bit much there, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and when it comes to like dating and stuff, like, yeah, it's easy. Some of the advice that's out there,
Hmm.
because it's my opinion that real leadership is how do you unite people, you know? And so I would like to see a lot more on both sides, because I think there should be, I don't know what the female side of red pill is called, but I'm sure there is some sort of community like
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah.
but I would like to see more talk of like, okay, this is how we feel, and this is how they feel. But how do we come together? That's what I
Of
want to
course.
see, like in general, information on how people can come together. Um, because like sometimes you can say, oh, I like some things about the red pill community, and when you're someone my age, you get labeled right away, like you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
you get like a bad label too. Pill, like
Really.
you're one of those guys.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, for sometimes you just got to be like, yeah, I am one of those guys, but what do you mean? And then, once they talk to me a little bit more, they're like, oh, okay, you're not one of those guys.
Now give me my bloody steak. No, it's joking.
Make me a sandwich.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's important to have those conversations though about how do we feel, like what is masculinity? You know, how do
Yeah.
young people, view masculinity? How do people who are mature in their 40s, 50s, 60s, how do they view masculinity? You know, and then we
Hmm.
also have to factor in the era in which you grew up in, because like me and your dad, when we were growing up, we were seeing things like, Ric Flair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out there. Macho Man Randy Savage, like out there.
Yeah.
Those are some of the people that were like, pumping us up and being all about being filled with testosterone and masculine,
Go crazy.
But like
Yeah.
as
Exactly.
we grow, things have changed now. We look at something, Denzel Washington, someone like that, right? He's not overtly like, oh, I'm crazy, but he stands up for himself.
Yeah.
Most of his characters, and you see him some of his interviews. He's not afraid to stand up for himself. So, as someone at my age now, I'm like, man, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you see in terms of like masculinity for young men? Like, how do you see it changing in the next like 5 years? Because based on what you see, like, I know you talk with like your business associates and things like that. Like, how do you see it?
Yeah. I mean, that is a tough one because it just differs from like there's so many other like cultures that like you
Mm.
masculinity is almost multifaceted. It's a spectrum. I don't like saying it's a spectrum, but it kind of is a spectrum a little bit. You know what I mean? That sounds very like that sounds very new age, but it is a spectrum
Yeah.
actually, I'll say. So I don't know. Like I think like I'll even go down to like biblical foundations in terms of kind of what masculinity is in my head, how
Mm.
I view it. I just kind of view it as a man who has depth to him. He's not a surface level
Mm.
man. He's not one that can just be guided by um guided by the world, guided by worldly pleasures, guided by anything that looks pretty to him. A man who has depth, who has a foundation, and also one who drives
Yes.
to be able to provide. A man who drives to be of utility to individuals, to his family, to his immediate family, or whatever it may be. So, ultimately, I see it as a man who drives to be someone of utility. That's what I think is masculine, and however way you want to do it as long as you are not doing evil things, manipulating people, taking advantage, stepping on toes, and yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think a part of like masculinity is asking, learning what a warrior is, you know,
Mm,
because like that's something that's within some of us, not all of us. I don't believe every man was designed to be a warrior type man,
yeah.
and sometimes we have, someone who's not really built like that trying to become that. And,
Yeah.
and I feel like they're setting themselves up for a lot of real hurt within themselves. They'll be chasing that goal forever and ever and never really become that because that's not them.
Agreed.
I feel like, as men, in terms of masculinity, there's levels to it. And there's also like, you know, everybody has a different utility. Like you said, you know what I mean? Some
Yeah.
men that are designed to be on the front line, you know, but there might be some that are designed to be more, leadership position and, strategic, you know. And there is, in terms of like, for us men, the masculinity, compassion, care, all matter. But some of those things are more prevalent in some men. And I think,
Agreed.
a part of that, the deeper conversation for men is to understand that's okay. You know, not everybody has to be
Yeah.
like, just super rough and tough. It's like you might not be
True.
built like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of figure out like what your thing is and work on that.
I definitely agree.
And
That's and
right?
that's a part of masculinity. Understanding your utility.
Mm,
That's truth right there. I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. And have
Yeah.
you like Jason Wilson?
Say it again. You cut off.
Jason Wilson?
No. No. I've never heard of Jason
So
Wilson.
I'll send you his book. It's called Battle Cry.
Okay.
And so basically he's a martial artist. He's a big masculine brother. And but he talks about like, allowing yourself to dig deeper into yourself as a man and expose some of your vulnerabilities and how that is actually like a part of being a warrior.
Mm,
Because for young men and grown men, there's some brothers out there like 60 years old who haven't faced their childhood traumas, right?
yeah. Yeah.
They can go out there and be an army general, be a Navy SEAL or whatever, but they will never face the traumas that happened to them when they're a kid. And so a part of like our masculinity and understanding about our strengths is learning how to face trauma.
Yes.
And I believe that as young men start to grow on their process, finding themselves, also finding success, is learning how to face real tough hardships. But
Yeah,
it's really challenging.
it
If you
is.
can face things, the younger you are, and you can look back, and with counseling and things like that, I always suggest people get counseling whenever they're going to deal with traumas. But when you can start to look back at those things, the younger you are and the quicker you face them, I think that strength, you know, gives you that fortitude to handle anything that comes your way.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. So,
I agree. Yeah.
yeah, brother, you got to send me some of your books you be reading, and I'll send you some of the ones.
Yeah, man. I'll hook you
We'll
up with
see.
every.
Some of them you might be like, really, really, bro.
I'll send you everything. I'll send you everything, man.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about business.
For sure.
So right now, I know that you're a young entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and you're always working and also researching on different revenue streams.
Yeah.
So over the next 5 years, kind of like what direction are you focused on when you think about it today, and like where do you see yourself in five? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's part of my title. My title is Gahdaco Richard, tech CEO, writer, and digital entrepreneur. And encapsulated in that, like I've already kind of started a few things. I have an AI company where I'm basically helping real estate agents automate their services and their CRMs and their lead funneling and all that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, I
Okay.
have my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel, like where I see myself in 5 years is like I have my channel. I'm talking about what I'm learning in business, what I'm learning in sales, marketing, all of that. I encapsulate that with philosophy, self-improvement, also with females and dating and all that kind of stuff because all men need help with that. I needed help with that when I was younger, and sometimes I still do, right?
Yeah.
So within 5 years, I see myself at least having 500,000 subscribers on that channel with a monetized community of individuals who are a little bit more serious than just consuming free content, who want to get access to more brothers online or in person
Mm-hmm.
who are, helping themselves up. So essentially, I'll have 500,000 subscribers, 5,000 subscribers on the paid community. They're all going to be paying like $40 a month, $50 a month, and they'll have access to all this information. And then my company, which is called Visago AI, that is going to be just onboarding clients. I'll have like the sales departments, admin departments, just onboarding real estate agents and other business professionals who need help within their business. That's where I see myself in around 5 years. And then I'll be writing about it on my blog as usual.
Okay. So like for yourself,
Yeah.
how do you push that agenda every month? Not every day, but every month. How do you push that agenda within yourself?
In terms of like obtaining that goal,
Yes.
well, right now I'm just mainly like everything is it's easy to just start everything. So everything is kind of started in terms of
Mm-hmm.
companies or LLCs. I have the websites, I have the Instagram pages. Now it's more or less me trying to acquire the skills, the necessary skills required to sell those ideas to people. So every month I'm focused on refining the necessary skills for now. And that's going to be my main concern. It's the skills.
Okay. So
Mhm.
here's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Okay. I think my brother Dennis is. He might be watching this right now.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. So I'm gonna. We'll get you connected with him. So he's my brother Dennis. Egg
Dennis.
Egg Bed Guy. He's a nice Nigerian man, and so he works with the BDC,
Okay.
but he also has a lot of business connections.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and then you need to also set yourself up with Black Chambers. What do they call it? Black Chambers Community or Society? I forget what it's called. Have you heard of it before?
No, I haven't.
It's all black business people.
Black Chamber Society. It sounds kind of familiar
Oh
though.
no. Hold on 1 second, young man. It's called Calgary Black Chambers. Yeah.
Calgary Black Chambers. Okay.
So when I wasn't your age. I was quite a bit older when I started a business.
Yeah.
How old was I?
Yeah.
I was almost 30. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I was 28. So um, when I first started my business, I was like, um, I think the first year did 72,000 in sales. No,
Nice.
50,000 sales first year. And then the second year did 72,000 in sales. And, said, okay, one day I want to make this $1 million company. And I started saying that. I started like just envisioning it. And to be honest, a lot of people around me were just like, okay, how you gonna only do $72,000 and then think that you're gonna build something to $1 million in sales? And
Yeah.
you just got one truck and some tools and your little brother's helping you out.
Yeah.
you know? And within about 4 years, we got to that stage.
Yeah. The haters,
Um,
bro. They can keep talking.
yes, yes,
They can keep talking.
you know. And so one of the biggest things is, for me, the way I looked at it is, this is where I want to get to. I
Yeah.
put my blinders on, you know. I was just very tunnel vision. That's where I'm going. And I just kept galloping and galloping and galloping. And that was the goal. And I pushed
Yeah.
everybody and I made that my main focus. Now, one of the things when I made at that point was I considered relationships and people kind of secondary.
Mm.
My vision of where I wanted to get to was the most important. Now, in certain situations, that's okay. Like if you don't got a family.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the time, I was, on my drive towards that success, I was also making more children.
Hmm.
So those are some of the drawbacks. And I think young people need to hear things like that so they can be like, okay, really hustling hard when, I don't have a family yet. But when you have a
Yeah.
family, I think sometimes those goals, you can still get there. I think it just takes a little bit longer because you also need to include your responsibilities to them.
Got you.
Yeah.
No worries, man. So then, yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of, my kids just rush in the house.
That's funny. Yeah. That's how it is. That's how it is.
Just 1 second, please. 1 second.
Of course. I can't hear you. It must have unplugged. Can't hear you. Maybe. I don't know. Unplug and plug in again. I lost you completely. Nothing. Nothing. I'm trying to see if I'm connected to Bluetooth or anything.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I still don't hear you, Conroy.
Hello? You don't hear
Lost
me?
you.
Okay, 1 second. Can you hear me now?
Nothing. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Oh man,
Let's
that's not.
see here.
I don't hear nothing. Let me.
Okay, Nana. Nana.
Okay, I can hear you now.
This is Sam. Okay, you can hear me now? Okay,
I can hear
great.
you now. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
I don't know what
Yeah.
happened.
So it's funny how I was just saying about, when you have a family
Yeah.
and my kids just walked in.
That's funny. That's how it goes.
But yeah, in your situation, all you got is time to really
Just grind.
be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like if I would have started at 20, holy smokes. Whew.
Yeah, 10-year difference.
At
Like a
20
10-year
I
difference.
was yes, it's a big deal because years is like holy smokes.
Yeah.
So you're starting at a good age.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
For sure.
Have you dealt, and this one wasn't on our list, have you dealt with professional failure?
Professional failure?
Yes, like in your business or your job or anything like that.
Yeah, I have. And it's the hardest failure. It's one of the hardest failures I've been able to face. So like I've had failure with my first sales pitch with Visago AI. So I was pitching to a realtor. He basically lied to my face about his interest level and everything like that. I mean, I wasn't even a good salesman yet, so I wasn't even able to really sell him that. So I don't blame him. He was just a regular customer who's just flaking. But that really hurt me.
Yeah.
I put so much effort to making a nice presentation. We met up for coffee. I thought I did good, but I was stuttering the whole time, sweating. It didn't go well, right? So then, he's like, yeah, I love it. I'd love to be you guys' guinea pig. Yeah. And then that was just for him to get out, and then he never kind of went anywhere. So it was that, and then starting to sell cars too. I got hired because I was at a networking event. So the sales manager was there. I was just chopping it up with him. He's like, "Yo, you're a pretty smart guy. Like, I think you just could come work at the dealership." And I was opposed to car sales for a while because I'm like, car salesman, I don't know, like all the negative connotations that are attached to it. But then once I got into the field, I realized, the kind of man that it's kind of making me become. And I'm like, whoa, there's a lot here.
Mhm.
So you walk into the dealership, they have a high expectation of you because you were at networking events, you have a YouTube channel, boom, boom, boom. But it's a whole different industry. You have to learn the industry now. So they say,
Yes.
okay, yeah, you can sell like five cars in your first month. First month I sold nothing. I sold one car, I think. So seeing that public failure, everybody at the dealership seeing you have clients sit at your desk and the clients just get up and walk off on you. The public failure, falling on your face publicly and professionally, it really takes a toll on the ego. So I've been facing that a lot lately. Professional failure is my forte now.
What I can tell you
Yeah.
is Hope that give you a piece of advice. But a lot of times when it comes down to sales, um, it's about getting outside of your head,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes we're doing sales, we're thinking, okay, what is this person thinking? And then that kind of leads down to like, well, what if I lose the sale? And then it kind of leads to like, okay, what if this other person is watching me and laughing? And then what if I can't make how much I wanted to make this month? And it
Yes.
starts in one place and it snowballs, and then it becomes I call it the hamster on the wheel. Then that sucker's just running. And so a lot of times what it comes down to is, you know, you can make a mistake, but it's just getting, because if you approach sales with, like, to be honest, integrity, people just feel that,
Yeah.
and they want to do business with you,
Yeah.
but when we're trying, sometimes, especially people that have, they can feel that we're trying. And then what they do, that gives them a red flag. You could be totally honest with them, but they can feel like, okay, why are you trying? Why are you trying so hard? Like, what's going on? Like, what are you
Yeah.
hiding from me?
I see.
Yeah. So a lot of times I feel that in a relationship, showing them that you have integrity, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, just like really never giving up, because it takes time to learn how to read people,
Yeah.
So like, I remember being on, I used to take people for lunches a lot. I remember there was one lunch, I developed some sort of weird twitch in my lip because I
Really?
was like super nervous.
Oh.
And then I thought they could see my lip quivering.
Yeah.
From there, I started like sweating like a waterfall, you know?
Yeah.
And then as I was sweating, I'm like this, and I'm looking at my hand, I'm like, it's soaked, and I'm like, oh shit. And then they're looking at me, and I'm like, oh, can they tell I'm nervous?
That's
And
funny.
then go to the washroom for a second, like, go wash my face, wash my face, wash my face, And
Wow.
what I started to do was get outside of my head, you know.
Mm.
So when I go to a meeting or to talk about some sales, okay, if I'm sitting in your shoes, what do I want from me? So
Mm. Mm.
if you're a property manager and you have a lot of contracts, I know
Yeah.
how to do the work. I'm pretty sure I know what you need from me, and that's all I'm going to offer you. Can I tell you I can build you a 10-story building? What I'm going to tell you is like, you're like, we have all these maintenance contracts we need fulfilled. I'll say I can take care of those. And I may not be able to complete all of them for you if it's too much. So if you have an existing service provider, we can, and when you kind of do that tactic, not tactic, I say approach,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, okay, you're not greedy. You're not a BSer. You're not out here
Yeah.
bullshitting me. And you're being just quite honest about kind of what you're. And from there, this like, you know, you let your reputation, after you just keep completing whatever, providing that service, you let your reputation speak for itself.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
had
You
one lady
go ahead.
sit me down. I was here for 9 years, and they just kept giving me contracts. And I asked her one day, I said, so, like, what is it? Like, why do I keep getting the contracts every year? And she said, because we trust you. A part of my
Wow.
ego was like, I want, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
we do the best work.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
you give us the contracts.
Yeah. Of
And
course.
she's like, no, we trust you. And, you know, that matters. And that's when I learned like integrity and honesty. It goes a long mistakes on that property. Many mistakes. but we never lied about
Mm.
it. We never tried to cover it up. Said, "Oh, we messed up this job. We're gonna give you a refund, or we're gonna have to redo it." There you
Wow.
go. So I think that's something important for young people in sales. Develop that relationship, that integrity. And I
Yeah.
know
Right.
you might see some other guys that are like hustlers. You know, they're out there just hustling, hustling, hustling. Um, that's personally for me. I don't think that's a long term thing. You know,
No,
because
me
you
neither.
want people to always say, yeah, you want people to always say person, and that's why I go to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that's probably why the first couple months were slower, because that's how I operated. Like there's a saying in the dealership is that if they leave, they never come back. But within my first 2 months,
Mhm.
everybody who left came back. And everybody was like, yo, why are your clients coming back? I'm like, don't know, man. I'm just being myself. I'm being Gahdaco. Because they leave and they say, yeah, man, I
Mhm.
only want to buy a car from you. And then they give me every single reason. They're like, but like I just can't make a decision right now. Me and my wife are twisted in finances. I don't want to jump the gun. They're like real, they're like real objections. I can't overcome them. I can
Yeah.
tackle them, but and even then they still come back to me. So I'm like, yeah, operate with integrity. I agree.
Yeah, and it goes a long way. It's not always the fastest way
Yeah.
to achieve a goal, but I think when you do achieve it, it's sound. You know,
Mm.
it's strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of like online and social media, I don't really have that much experience on how to like generate income that way,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of like the way of the future. So, for young people out there, what's the best way young people to generate income online or using social media, from your perspective?
Yeah. Well, what I've done, like I used to, I'm sure as you know, I was a producer. Still, I'm a producer, so I was selling music online. That was
Mhm.
generating me around like $500 to $1,000 a month. I was just kind of doing it part time, 3 hours a day, nothing too crazy. The best
It's a
thing to do,
mortgage payment, brother.
it is. That's that is $1,000.
For a one-bedroom
Yeah,
condo.
so that's yeah. So the best way to make money online, in my opinion, is to it depends on the individual, but you need to have a problem. It's just for any business, there needs to be a problem. You need to be providing a solution. There needs to be supply for the
Yes.
demand, and you just need to have clients. And in the online realm, the most things that are going to generate you the most income, the things that are going to generate you the most income, is client outreach and content creation. Those are the two things that I did continuously every single day. Reach out to 10 producers, post 5-6 times a week, post on my story.
Mm.
Because even then, I haven't made a beat in like 4 months. But then I made a beat like 2 days ago. I posted it on my Instagram. A guy just swiped up, yo, I need this one ASAP. So $60 right there after 4 months. So like that work that I put in can still make me money anytime I want to. I just
Yeah.
post a little video. So it's just gonna be content, getting your face in the game and adding some sort of value. Getting them to stay on that screen, stay on your page, make yourself have a digital resume, make yourself look trustworthy online. So that's gonna be it. There needs to be a face, and then you need to provide value. That's how you make money. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And for young people that are thinking of using that, what's it called? Amazon, where
Like drop shipping, FBA.
you buy products. Yeah, yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I think it's cool. Like I did drop shipping for a bit. That was another professional failure. Uh, like a whole bunch of I reached out to like over 100 different vendors and tried to start a drop shipping website. Uh, I just fell flat on my face because it's just very saturated. But if you can find vendors, find a good product, a winning product, I think it's very, very, very profitable. You need to not just think of, oh yeah, I'm selling a product online. You need to really build a brand around that product, and then you can go far. So that's the step I know. Like I couldn't tell you exactly what to do, but I've seen people do it. I know a couple drop shippers. I know one drop shipper. He makes like 50K a month, and that's the advice that he told me. So I'm just kind of regurgitating. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I found that a lot of those kind of businesses, when we're in Canada, we have such a considerably smaller market.
Mm,
in terms of population.
Yeah.
It's like
So
you
it's
go to the
easier.
States and like, yeah, there's like millions of people. Even like some of their smaller cities are like 5 million people.
Sheesh.
Where we're
Yeah.
feeling like, my city's big because I got 3 million people. It's like in the States, that's like it's a little
That's a
small
town.
town.
That's a town. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. Well, yeah, because what states has over like 340 million, and we're like 30s, like
350
40,
million or something like that.
and we're like
Yeah, it's
40
crazy. And
million,
it's
so like
growing too.
37, 30. Wow.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's crazy.
because I often see people like, thinking like, I'm going to make this much money. And I'm like, but where did you get the business model from? They're like, oh, this person in the States, they're making this much. And they're saying like, I could do it here. But I'm like, but you're market, you know,
Yeah.
we don't live in the States. The States is different.
Yeah. Like I know a
Yeah.
guy, he has a Christian clothing brand. Most of his
Yeah.
clients, most of his customers that they buy, like they post on the story, they're wearing the brand. They're in the States. Not many people are even buying here in
Right?
Canada. So it's like, I don't know. Might have to move to Miami with Big Sis.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Should be out there selling houses.
Hell yeah.
So, do you feel like you have a responsibility to help the youth? So, in terms of like, have you considered mentoring the youth?
Yeah. I have, and that's kind of what I do. I just kind of do that for free now. I have a little Discord community, like 14 people. Some people reach out to me. I've helped like teenagers get girlfriends and stuff like that. They just come to me for advice and stuff. So yeah, I do feel like I have an obligation, especially if I've been, gifted with the ability to articulate myself in a manner that pushes people to forward motion, even myself. So I'm going to use that for good,
Yes.
not for evil. Yeah.
Excellent. I love to
Yeah.
hear that. Like, you things that bring me like personal joy.
Mm,
It was like,
yeah.
because I'm just a natural parent.
Of
So,
course.
it's like, I just want to like help people.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
my thing.
And I respect that, man.
Um,
Even though me and you don't like talk a lot, even though just we'll have short conversations, or I'll see you at a
yeah.
barbecue every year and a half. I learn a lot from that conversation, and it takes me to the next, to the next, to the next. So I appreciate that. I respect that.
Yes, 100, man. I want to watch you grow. You
Of
know what I mean?
course. Thank you. Yeah.
For sure, man. Okay. So again, do you feel like you have to change the world and also like break cycles for your family?
Yeah, I do. When it comes to the financial, when it comes to your mentality and thinking, I think I'm finally starting to realize that there is chains. Like I may have not broken full free yet, but I'm realizing, okay, there is some sort of shackle here. What can we do about it? I mean, can I wake anybody else up, or is everybody else going to just turn a blind eye? So, I'm trying to voice to as many people as possible that there's shackles within your family, within your neighborhood, even with whatever area of city that you're into, the northeast, the southeast, there's shackles within that as well, deep psychological chains. So I feel like it's my obligation to wake people up in the tiny little matrices. Like Andrew Tate made the matrix, like you can see it, but I feel like it's my obligation to go deep inside the matrix and understand there's even more matrices lying in between. So that's how I want to change the world, and that's the change I want to break for my family.
That's great. Because I think one of the best ways to change the world is to, really reach out first of all, and changing yourself, because we always
Yeah,
have somebody watching us. We're always inspiring somebody as we change, as we grow. And so when we start to change ourselves, somebody's watching out there and they're like, huh, you've inspired me. But it's nice to see that.
of course.
So if you could speak to 14-year-old Gahdaco,
Yeah.
the piece of advice you would give him to help him, to really like help him and kind of, nudge him in the right direction?
Hmm. The biggest thing I could tell him, and I'm not like a lot of 14-year-olds are experiencing this. It's like, yes, you're gonna feel depressed. Yes, you're gonna have a desire to not be alive, to not be here. But that desire to not be alive and the feeling of existential crisis and not understanding every single intercomponent of the world derives from a lack of knowledge. So the more knowledge that you're going to seek as a young man, whether it be watching one educational video a day, locking in a little bit more at school rather than doodling on your journal, that's what's going to allow you to fully understand the complexities of this world. Once you understand them to a higher degree, year after year, your anxieties will decrease. The desire to want to for suicide, or the desire to not be here, or to detach and lock yourself in your room, will start to decrease. So just look for knowledge a little bit harder.
I love that, because that
Yeah.
is knowledge. Because like I find, if I could think back when I was young, if I was left to my own thoughts and thoughts of people that are in the same situation as me, blind leading the blind. You
Yeah.
ain't getting any smart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
But when you start to like gain knowledge from people, mentors, books, things like that, changing what you watch, it really does change things, your perspective, things like that.
Agreed. No,
Now I want to
definitely agree.
thank you, Young Blood, for coming on. Um, I hope that we get to have another sit down next year around the same
Of
time,
course. Yeah.
talk about the same things, and see, how your perspectives have changed, because they
Yeah.
always change.
They always do. Thank you.
Um,
Yeah. Thanks for giving me on here.
yes.
I appreciate that. Great conversation, man.
Now I do have some business contacts. Me and you be sitting down and we'll set up some lunches. I know some good people.
Okay.
Like you'll be blown away. And they're really, and these people are like really like mentoring, and they have the right connections.
Nice.
It's time to
Okay.
big
Yeah.
up, time to blow up, brother.
Yes. Network is the net worth, right? Of course.
Yes, 100%, man. It really is. And also, not only in
Yeah.
your professional life, in your personal life. Once you start to, make sure your personal circle is full of like good people to be better. Um, this life just changes, you know. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you so much, brother. That concludes today's podcast. We're very grateful that Mr. Gahdaco Richard joined us today. We will post his. And what's your Instagram?
Instagram is going to be GAHDACO_R. So just Gahdaco_R.
Okay, we'll make sure to post that in the comments and stuff like that, and also on the YouTube channel. And thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks, Conroy. See ya.
You have a great night. Peace.
You too, man. Peace.